Edie the salsa freak. Okay, I'm probably dating myself by using that name, but I do not care. This woman, Edie the salsa freak, is legendary for me, in my opinion, and my journey in salsa. Years ago, I went to some workshops in LA, and this woman was teaching LA style salsa. Some of you might like LA, some of you might not. It might not be your thing. But it didn't matter to me about her style in terms of what style she was dancing of salsa, because her style as a woman and as a person obviously has stuck with me all these years later. And it's been way more than, I would say, more than 15 years. And what this woman did for me was that she brought dancing closer to me as a reality of something that I could do. I never met her in person in terms of like introducing myself to her or talking to her in person. But I was in her workshops and she was close enough for me to see that she was a real person, not just in, body and being able to speak and making her own mistakes or being human, but she oozed this kind of energy of owning it, like owning whatever it is that you are or what you're doing, how you're being, how you're able to be, and how you're able to dance. And she was not a dancer as a young child. She was not a dancer as a teenager. She was not a dancer in her 20s or 30s, in my understanding. She started taking hip hop and salsa in her 40s. Now, don't quote me on the exact timeline, but the point is that she started dancing way late, quote unquote, in what we sometimes consider a normal timeline of dancers and learning to dance. And what she achieved with her dancing, especially for starting at such a later time in her life, it just astounded me, because she had a partner at the time that she was recording videos with, and maybe right now, like if we were to watch those videos, I have some still, that were very flashy moves and lots of spinning on the ground, like very low, dropping to the ground and spinning. Kind of, it looks like you're almost like on your knees spinning, but and lots of hand tosses. And for some people, those movements might be outdated, and I don't know what Edie is up to these days. But back then, she inspired me so much because she was doing things that seemed out of this world for me at that time. And I kept taking lessons, and I had just started salsa dancing, and it was very new to me, and I didn't know if it was something that I could do. But she not only made it seem doable because she broke down techniques and steps in a way that most other teachers of dance didn't. And maybe because she understood what it was like to learn at a later age. But she also, the words that she spoke, like I have a record of some of the stuff, like I had written down notes of things she said, because I, after the workshops, ran back and had to like scribble these things down. And I'm so glad I kept them, because one thing that really stood out to me was that she said, all of you out there can be Edie's, and I want you to become an Edie. To me, that was amazing because I had been around some teachers of dance and maybe even teachers of other things that were very insecure but came across controlling, and you couldn't see the insecurity, but they would want to be like the teacher to dominate the students. So they acted like they were all knowing and their students couldn't get, to their level. They wouldn't even dance with the students. They would just show them moves and say like, you do what you can, but without any energy of like, you could get to my level or beyond. And Edie made it very clear that not only did she think it was possible for each one of us to get to her level and go beyond, but she wanted that to happen. Like, that was her goal in being a teacher. And I felt like her owning her age and her lack of experience in dance at a younger age, but still going after it with so much passion and getting to a really high level, then teaching it, then sharing it with other people, was life-changing for me. And I started using her perception about what we can achieve in other areas of my life. And in particular, I remember Edie showing people how to fall and get up from a fall. So like a mistake fall, like, if something went wrong, especially because she was dabbling in a lot of experimentation of spins and doing some fancy, like, crazy things with her partner, and she would end up falling. And I think also because she probably didn't have that training that other people might have had that ground them more, and she might have had to work at it a bit harder. So she not only knew how to gracefully fall, but she taught us how to milk the getting up from a fall. And she would make these, like, she'd fall, like, she'd show us, like, what could happen if a fall happened and by mistake and you landed on the ground, and, instead of focusing on it, she would be like, how can you use this to your benefit? And she would surreptitiously, in this sexy, sensual way, like, arch her back from the floor and get up as if, like, maybe that happened on purpose, or if it didn't, she was just owning, like, hey, I fell, I'm human, but now I'm going to show you what it's like to dance yourself back up. And it was amazing to me. Like, this woman owned so many parts of her, so many things that we would maybe look at as like imperfections or insecurities, but she was like, I'm owning this. Like, I wonder actually if that kind of attitude has made it so oftentimes I'll say, like, I have insecurities, but in the past I felt like I had a lot more insecurities, and I realized actually it's not that I had more then and less now. It's just that I am more secure about my insecurities now. And I think I got a little bit of that attitude from people like Edie, because she just owned wherever she was at, however old her age was, whatever was happening in the moment. And she never backed away from it. She never let let it stop her, and it made her a really strong dancer, actually, in my opinion, because she was a strong dancer physically and in her own style, but also in representing strength for other people to find their own strength. Like, she was able to get other people to tap into their own strengths and to own who they are, and to own what you can do, and to own when you don't pull off what you want to do, but find another exit, find another way to like get up and keep going. And I realized like dance has really taught me that, like, owning it, because we never know what's going to happen on the dance floor. Like, you could practice something for hours, for weeks, or months, even years, and still make mistakes or fall, or like the floor could be slippery, or something could happen with a shoe. Like, there's all these different things, but the people out there that own those quote unquote mistakes, it just excites me. It makes me want to be like them. And then I'm reminded by their example that actually I just need to own me, like own who I am and what happens when I'm out there on the dance floor or in life. And it makes me see when people do this in so many different aspects of life. Like, a couple of months ago or a month ago, I was at a karaoke place, and the karaoke hadn't started yet, and there was a bunch of new people near the pool table and stuff, and one of the guys there was super friendly. I'd never met him before, and he kind of introduced himself, and he had an accent, obviously from Ireland, and I had said that I had been there once and kind of mentioned some of the area that I had seen, and he said, "Oh, I was there not that long ago," and like returned back, and he said he did this trek up like a hike, not up a mountain, but maybe like up a cliff, or and he said that he did it, like a bunch of them did it with their prosthetic leg, and he was telling me like about the experience, and I guess they won or something. Like, it was obviously a really great experience for him. And the weird thing is that I hadn't noticed that he had a prosthetic leg. Like, I didn't even know that he didn't have a leg, one of his legs. And that day I was like struggling with just like walking around the bar, like, because of the weakness in my leg, and feeling insecure about it and trying to like almost hide it. And this guy didn't even have a leg, and I didn't know, and he didn't even have to tell me. Like, I mean, if you look down, you would have seen it, but why would I be looking down? Like, I was talking to him to his face, but when he said it, and he owned it with no apology, no squirming, no trying to like hide that he had this problem, or like, I don't even want to, I shouldn't call it a problem, but this, you know, disability kind of thing. Like, I found it, first of all, so attractive that he owned it like that. And then I found him very, like, I was attracted to his energy because he was just such a positive person. And funny enough, he like later on had asked me for my number and stuff, and not that I would have said no to someone if they had that issue or had some disability. I mean, I'm going through my own situation like that, but it can be awkward depending on what type of lifestyle like you can lead and how much you can help someone else, and it can feel like, oh, maybe this would make things more complicated, or you don't know how to handle it. But in his situation and the way he approached me and the way he approached himself, like just owning, this is my situation and I'm putting it out there, and he wasn't like showcasing it for everyone. He wasn't, trying to get empathy, but he also wasn't hiding it. And he was like, kind of like, had this energy of like, you take me as I am, like, and he was owning himself, like that he's taking himself as he is. And it was so impressive to me, and I loved it, and I took that with me to remind me to do the same, that I want to live in that way, and that I want to own what I do, even to the smallest things. Like in my last video, I had put some eyeliner on my eyes. I like putting eyeliner and mascara on, but it's pretty tricky for me lately because I get some tremors in my hands. So putting eyeliner just becomes like a bit messy, and then I don't have the greatest eyesight, so if I'm not wearing my glasses and I'm putting, like, I have to put the eyeliner on without my glasses, I don't know if I've done it right. And by the time I got to the video, I was speaking and I was excited to do the video, and I did it, and then afterwards I was like, oh my god, this eye, or one of the eyes, was like completely, like, the eyeliner was really crooked. Maybe you guys don't notice things like that, I don't know, but now you will, because I told you. But I was like, oh, I guess I should re-record that, because it looks kind of like I'm just messy and it looks awkward. But then I rewatched the video and I liked the way that I said what I wanted to say, and I didn't want to like redo it. And then I remembered, just own it. So here I am, I'm owning it. Even if you didn't notice about my eyeliner, you will now, because I've told you, and you're going to look back at it and be like, oh, you may or may not see it. But the point is that I was like, no, I'm just going to own it. I'm going to own, like, I messed up my makeup a bit, but I want to put the video out, and I liked what I said, and I don't want to repeat it because I feel like it won't come out the same way. And yeah, I feel like the power of owning things, like, it just makes me just let out this exhale that maybe I'm holding in so much because I'm trying to make things perfect, or trying to put across this image that is just not humanly possible to do all the time, to be like perfect or to make everything correct. And actually, looking back at Edie the salsa freak and this guy that I met, the Irish guy at the karaoke place, and I actually look up to the people that just own the things that are not, like, quote unquote perfect. And I sometimes like that. I prefer that than the people that are making everything like absolutely, no mistakes, no makeup flaws, no disability. Like, it's like, I think we all have our things. Some of them can be seen, like a disability or something that is like, feels a bit like it can be challenging to us. And for some of us, it's very obvious, and other people can see it or hear it or feel it. And for other people, you might not even notice, and you think that everything's perfect. But wherever we are at in our dancing, in our relationships, in our getting to know ourselves, like I just say, own it. And dance has really taught me how to just own it. The moves that don't always go right, the moves that don't go as planned, own them. And they can become this new amazing move that becomes your own personal style. And I actually admire that a lot in other people, and I want to keep living into that, to owning wherever I'm at, whatever I'm doing, especially if I love doing it. So thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you all soon.